Welcome to the Career Gap Network Group, which is started by me, which is specially made for those people who take career gap due to their personal reason, which is fair as all of us take those career breaks because of the time, because of the circumstances that we fall into. I have started this for those people who take career break but find it hard to come back to that career because they struggle and find it emotionally draining. That can further lead to more problems in their lives. I want to educate and coach these individuals in their needs and give them the platform where they stay engaged on what's trending in this industry, either through recruiters or leaders or through universities and professional institutes. I also want to motivate and inspire them through successful stories of those who managed to come back to their career with their inner strengths. Today I have with me Leigh Hatfull, who's the Business Development Manager at Exceeding, who has a mixed career background and has managed to come back to the career ladder successfully. I'm really intrigued that he managed to come back to it, but all of us want to know, how did he do that? What steps did he take? What intrigued him to say, oh yeah, I want to come back? And what triggered him to say, this is it, I can't just take a longer career break because it's not going to be good for him. Welcome, Leigh, to this meeting. Well, I would say rather a successful story where I want to inspire my group of people to start thinking about the coming back career. Please, can you highlight and give us some of your career journey? Tell us who you are and then your background and more about yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem, Rupali. So probably the best thing I can do is come to the present by just skipping across my past. So my early career was in sales and sales management, mostly in technology and the IT reseller space, and that took me through various sort of roles until I was about 30. And around about the age of 30, I just wanted to have a kind of a complete career change, and I didn't really know what that would be, but I was very interested in people in general. And one of the things I'd enjoyed most about my sales and sales management career to date was the fact that it was involving a lot of contact with people. So a friend of mine just called me one day and said, actually, they've got some recruitment roles in their business, and would I be interested? And I actually ended up making a foray into recruitment. It was sort of senior finance type work, hiring sort of financial directors and accountants into the sort of big four and such like. But it was quite transactional, and I decided that I wanted to move up the value chain within recruitment, like the work, but wanted to move up the value chain. So I remembered a documentary. Well, it was actually a drama that I'd seen when I was young, and I think it was on the BBC. And it suddenly came back to mind, and it was about a headhunter, and this sort of sophisticated and glamorous life that he lived was part of the feature of the drama. And it came back to mind, and I thought, actually, I'd quite like to kind of get into that world. So several months later, sees me arriving at a headhunt boutique where I was about to spend the next sort of 9 years or so, and it was nowhere near as sophisticated and glamorous as I'd imagined. It was it's pretty hard graft, but very, very interesting work. And I tended to hire leadership roles within IT outsourcing, business process outsourcing, and management consulting. So really, really interesting work. And as I say, I was there for almost a decade. I became a sort of a partner in the business, so to speak, and enjoyed the 2008 financial crisis, and yeah, it was an interesting time. So at the end of my sort of near decade within headhunting, that's when I experienced my career break, Rupali, and it was never planned to be as long as it was, but it turned into a 3-year break. But anyway, I'm now back into employment. I'm with Exceeding. Exceeding are a small consulting firm in the procurement space mainly, and my role there is really across a few different areas. So we sell procurement consultancy projects, and I'm involved with that. I'm also involved with any operational recruitment for the team in head office. I also put together the teams of consultants that deliver our projects. There's a bit of resourcing involved, and I also, on top of that, I also do placement of interim resource, and that's not just aligned to procurement. That could be finance, it could be IT, it could be any one of any number of areas, program management, etc. So I've got quite a varied role, and I actually set out when I got the role to bring together, draw together the previous experiences that I'd had in kind of sales and recruitment. So it enabled me to do that in one role.
Yeah, well, a lot of experience, very good experience, and then quite successfully come back, I must admit. Can you give us, what made you, you said, you took a career break, but I'd like to know when you took a career break, was that voluntary or just it was compulsion? What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, the reason behind it. So my business partner and I, when I finished with the Headhunt boutique, we just decided that we wanted to go different ways. We had different goals for the future, and so I kind of parted company with nothing planned. I didn't have anything to go into. I kind of felt that I needed a break anyway. I'd not had a break in my entire career, so it just been full on work. And one of the things that we used to counsel as headhunters was that people took time to reflect on their career and to have an actual plan and to go career shopping rather than just have to react to a situation and then have to get the first available role. So I thought, here's an opportunity for me to do some reflection, for me to take some time out.
Yeah,
And it would have been
okay,
actually quite easy for me to find a role doing the same thing, but I didn't. So I just took that time out.
right. So it was just the situation where you ended up into. So what triggered you that now is the time to come back to career?
I think that it was a number of factors really. There was some external factors and some factors that were internal. So I think the external factors were that there was some financial considerations. So I'd had a 3-year career gap,
Oh, that's a
and
long time.
obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's a long time to be going without a regular income. So there was an element of needing to improve the income, and also there was an element of wanting to find a role that actually interested me, and it had taken me some time to work out what that was going to be. So during that 3-year gap, I had a bit of a sort of I guess a personal crisis in terms of my own self-identity, my own direction. What did I want to do with the rest of my career? And it took a long while to work that through.
Right.
It probably, with hindsight, could have happened sooner, but it did actually end up taking a while. So, there were external sort of facets to it. The Brexit slowdown as well was happening. There wasn't a lot about during the career gap, but towards the back end of that, things started to improve. The UK got a bit more optimistic, and there were more roles around. And then the other thing, Rupali, was the internal side. I kind of needed a break, but the break had gone on too long, and I'd sort of fallen into procrastination and so on. And I had to overcome that, and it took time to get there, is what I'm saying. So to
Yeah.
regain my sense of purpose and direction, that was the key thing that happened that made me think, now's the time. The time wasn't right until I got that part of me, back under control and had that sort of sense of direction again.
Well, thank you. It's a 3 years certainly is really long time, but I'm so glad to see you back into the career after this such a long time period. Um, I heard a little bit of word in there that you said that it was you went into for 3 years personal reasons as well. When you were looking to come back, what were your challenges um, for that? I mean, I heard a little, but I'd like you explain. So the challenges that you undercome when you decided to come back.
Yeah, sure. So again, I'd break these down into sort of external things and internal things. So in actual fact, it wasn't difficult in terms of the external factors because we were getting some Brexit clarity in the UK. There was that sense of optimism returning. There were definitely suddenly more jobs around that were of interest to me. I had checked during the career break from time to time. Nothing really seemed to catch my interest, and then suddenly it seemed like the economy, the taps would have been turned back on. There were more roles available. So from an external perspective, it didn't seem too challenging. But it was, again, it's going back to those internal factors. So what you'll tend to find is after your career gap that you've got some real anxieties around it. So how is my career gap going to be perceived when I go and have interviews? Have I been out of the game too long? Can I, having been master of my own destiny for a while, and bear in mind that when I had 10 years as a headhunter, largely I was operating under my own steam. So can I go into a role where I'll take direction from others? Am I manageable, so to speak? And I think everyone will have their own beliefs, some that are shared and some that are unique to them, and some of those beliefs will go kind of beyond their career thinking. But you'll have these beliefs, and what I actually found was that most of those beliefs proved to be unfounded. So when I actually went back out into the market, so to speak, and had meetings with people, what I thought was going to be an issue, like the career gap, people would just ask me a question. I'd give them literally a 1 or a 2 line answer, and they would just move on and forget all about it. It was fine. And
Okay, that's a very
yeah,
positive. Yeah, very positive
yeah,
answer. Thank you. So you're
absolutely. Yeah,
saying that people would move on. That, to my
yeah,
audience, this is very important for you all to understand, because I've got so many calls from many people who've taken career break. They are really worried that I have taken too long break. How will the audience, how will my recruiters or buyers will take? Thank you, Leigh, for giving such a positive answer. Mhm.
no
Right.
problem.
So also, what is your advice to those who take career break? What are the main things that they should be looking at? How should they be shaping their resumes, and how should they be thinking, now I want to come back, what I should be doing?
Yeah, I think in terms of the resume, I wouldn't be worried about the career gap appearing on the resume. Just put it on there. You'll get a chance to talk about that when you go for the interview. But do have a story ready about the journey that you went on during that time. But coming to the career gap, I think if people are facing a career gap or they're on a career gap right now, the main things that I would sort of advise are, initially, don't associate your own self-worth with the way that you used to earn a living. And that's really important, because lots of people do it, and as you have that association and the actual career falls away, you can end up feeling a bit lost, and it can dent your self-esteem. So just be really careful about not doing that. I think the other thing is that time just disappears unless you've got some sort of plan for your career gap and a structure to it, because it's easy without work, it's easy for that sort of structure in your life to disappear. And honestly, 1 week turns into a month, and a month turns into a year, and before you know it, you're looking back and you're thinking, oh my God, it's been absolutely ages. And so I would definitely try and put a plan and a structure around it.
Yeah, so you're
I'd
quite
say
right.
also it's easy to
Go.
become. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go for
So
it, please.
yeah, sure. So the other thing is, it's really easy to become sort of socially isolated, and that can lead to depression. And it's usually the people close to you that will spot that. So in my case, people were saying, Leigh, you seem to have lost your enthusiasm about things. You don't seem to get excited about things anymore. And it took me a while to realise that they were right. And why was that? And that led to a kind of journey inside and trying to work through some of those issues. So just be aware of that as well. We can survive without others, but I think most of us need company to thrive. So you need to pay attention to that. I think also people are at their best when they have some sort of mission, Rapali. So I think you need to find your mission, even if can't be linked to career. So find something else to aim for and shoot for, and to give you a mission. And I also think you should, when you're ready to end your career break, you should take action sooner rather than later, because acting sooner rather than later will mean that you've got more time to explore the opportunities that are out there. So first of all, decide what it is that you want to do, have a good plan for that, and then sort of go shopping for the ideal opportunity. If you leave it too late, other circumstances, such as financial circumstances, may dictate that you've got to do things in haste, and choose roles that probably aren't your ideal. So act early, and it links back to really having a bit of a plan and a structure, keep an eye on the finances, and so on.
Yeah, you're quite right. I think a couple of things which really strikes me, which is you must be on top of what you are going to do, which is you need to start planning and structuring your things.
Yeah,
You can't have no mission. And I share the same feeling, because I had been traveling a lot in my last 20 years because of my husband's work. So each time when I had to go to a new destination, I had to start looking at the opportunities for myself. And then you have to find a structure. You can't just say, okay, it'll come on my plate. Nothing comes on your plate. You have to start working on it, and you have to start thinking structurally, have a vision, and I do want to work. It could be something else, as you say. You don't have to get employed and do a work. You could do something else, which is, I don't know, a small little businesses. But what we don't want anybody to do is to a professional person going downhill and getting depressive lifestyle simply because they didn't do career. So this platform, well, as I said, this is a platform where we are going to give everybody an opportunity to stay connected, learn what is out there, learn from the trending availability, such as recruiters will be able to give you more insights. For example, Leigh can give us more information about what is out there in the recruitment. Anytime you want to ask a question, Leigh is always there in the group. Ask him a question on the Career Gap networking group of the LinkedIn. Well, I think all I can say, Leigh, is because we want to keep it short, and this is a virtual one, which I never like to do. I always wanted to do a face-to-face. This is not really right, but the world we live in at the moment. But I hear a lot of people getting into this, career gap at the moment, simply because of this COVID-19 that we got stuck into. All I can say is thank you very much for spending time with us and with me today, and inspiring all those who are working their way back to their career, which is very important at this stage, that we keep talking about successful stories. All I can say to all those who are listening to this interview, please stay connected by joining this group. Details I'm going to give it to you later in this message as well. Also, please forward the details of this message or a page, whosoever you think is struggling and need help and can benefit from it. Leigh is always with us. If you need any questions, please feel free to ask him questions. Thank you, Leigh, very much. Appreciate your help.
Thanks, Rupali. It's a pleasure.